Should genetically modified foods be sold in grocery stores? Genetically modified foods are in the news more and more as the debate over whether or not they are safe continues. Genetically modified foods contain organisms that have had DNA from non-relative species transferred into their genes via biotechnology to imbue them with specific traits. Genetic modification differs from traditional crossbreeding techniques because genes of plants, animals, bacteria, and viruses could be combined to create organisms that had been altered in a way that would not occur naturally. The main concerns around GMOs involves allergies, cancer, and environmental issues. The scientists are working to exempt their methods from GMO regulations, what could be worrisome. GMOs should always be labeled not because they are better or worse than non-GMO, but because the consumer should know what he or she is buying. Genetically modified foods have both benefits as well as dangers to human health, the environment, and economy. Technologies for genetically modifying foods offer dramatic promise to meeting some areas of greatest challenge for the 21st century. Like all new technologies, they also pose some risks, both known and unknown. All new genetically modified crops had been checked for harmlessness to humans, animals, and the environment before they are approved, but many scientists describe the current regulations for risk assessments as insufficient. The production of GM foods imposes high risk to the disruption of biodiversity. This is because the better traits produced from engineering genes can favor one organism. Furthermore, the introduction of genetically modified organisms can eventually disrupt the natural process of gene flow. Disrupted gene flow can also lead to genetically modified crops becoming weeds because they breed so rapidly and outcompete other crops. Based on the review, marketed GM crops have improved implementation of soil management techniques and decreased pesticide use. It is often used environmentally friendly herbicides and increased yields to lessen pressure to convert more land to agricultural use. Many researchers believe that GM crops may pose numerous adverse effects to insects, plants, and the wider environment. As you can see, the disadvantages of GM crops are much larger than simply harming our health. Regarding its environmental effects, toxicity is a huge issue concerning GM crops. One particular example is the BT corn. Bacillus thuringitis is a soil bacterium that has a gene that produces certain protein toxins that effectively destroy pests and insects like larval caterpillars. This gene is then inserted into the corn to make it more resistant to pests. While some characteristics help control pests, this may result in releasing the said toxin into the soil. Too many toxins in the soil can prevent the growth of bacteria essential for plant growth. As a result, the soil becomes void of all necessary nutrients. Scientists fear that the excessive production of genetically modified foods with toxic producing properties will be rendered ineffective over time. Ironically, some genetic modified foods have been reported to be void of natural value. The nutritional value of some crops is occasionally compromised because genetic engineering frequently focuses more on boosting their output, extending their lifespan, and warding off pests. It has been found that organic soybeans are far higher in nutritional components like healthy sugar, protein, selenium, and zinc as compared to genetically modified soybeans. This finding also suggests that by making a plant more resistant to pests, the antioxidants phytochemicals are reduced. Hence, by genetically modifying foods, quantity is compromised over quality. In order to increase production, enhance pest resistance in animal and plants, food items are primarily genetically modified. The continued production of genetically modified foods is still debatable. despite some of them having already been found to be safe as their conventional equivalents. It is known that the main concerns about adverse effects of GM foods on health are the transfer of antibiotic resistance, toxicity, and allergenicity. The process of making the GM foods causes it to be toxic, and thus all GMOs were high risk for toxicity. Although scientists have been able to demonstrate that GMOs are not toxic to the animals that eat them, as described above and elsewhere, what about the side effects being passed on to our next generations?